Well, Barb, tell me a little bit more about what home sellers should expect from their agents in this market.
Well, I think what they should expect really is excellent service, the best way to market their home, to make sure that their online presentation is spectacular, because we know that 88% of the buyers eliminate homes based on the pictures. We have to get that right. Omnipresent marketing, not just on the multiple listing service, but all over, because some buyers aren't necessarily planning to buy a home and then they catch one somewhere and all that. Plus, a strategy to attract buyers. I would say that's a very critical thing that home sellers want. And they also want their agents to guide them in the home selling process. And we're going to go into detail in this segment about that. Actually, the process is pretty simple. However, people don't do it every day. And one of the things that we understand is that not only have they agreed to sell one of their largest assets, is a very stressful time for them, and they've got a lot of things going on. So they're not focused on that. They're focused on, okay, I sold my house. Now what do? I got to get ready for this, and I got to plan my move. There's just so much going on. So we try to give it to them in bits and pieces. We give them the whole story, but then bits and pieces so that they're reminded, because people just don't do this every day. And we actually did 12 different videos about the different steps of selling your home. You can actually go get those videos, take a look at them on the Barb Has the Buyer's website, click on Seller Guide, and it's the top one right there. Most home sellers want to know how to prepare their home for sale. They also want to know if their seller is negotiating for them. I actually am meeting with the seller today, and that's why she let her other agent go, because she didn't feel like he was negotiating for her and didn't explain anything. And she was having to go on the internet and find out what was going on. It's really frustrating. So it's kind of insane sometimes. And I think some agents think that, oh, they're master negotiators of the universe. But I just had one happen recently where I believe the agent said, let's do this strategy. Let's go in, make a lowball offer, and say that's our best and highest, and that's it. We're done. So here you got this first-time home buyer in love with this home. And because this agent thinks they're such a legend in their own brain, that buyer ends up not getting the house for a mere $25 a month. Can you believe that, Richard?
My gosh. I mean, that's why when you use the word fiduciary, that is a very, very crucial thing.
Yeah. I mean, you want to get the clients what they want. And then the other service they really need is closing services. Everybody's wondering what's going on, both on the buyer and the seller side. And stuff does happen. You've got the inspection, you've got the appraisal. And this is what happens a majority of the time with the appraisal. Since the buyer pays for the appraisal, the buyer and the lender keep that secret, especially if the appraisal comes in at a price higher than the contract price. There goes my voice. Especially if the appraisal comes in at a price higher than the contract price. They don't want to share that information with the seller, but the seller just wants to know that the deal's going through. I don't think they care what it appraised for. I mean, they'd like to know, but the most important part of what they need to know is, did it appraise? Do we not have any issues with the appraisal? And are we moving forward with the sales process? And so a lot of times they won't tell the listing agent what's going on. We actually have to reach out to the buyer, the buyer's agent, the lender, and ask them, because they don't share it with us. And it's frustrating because the sellers look at us going, well, why aren't you getting that information? They keep it secret for some reason. So we have to let them know what to expect, prepare them for it, and let them know we're going to chase it down and get it. And then preparing for closing, of course, is a whole nother part of the process that's very important. Preparing for the move, preparing for the final walkthrough, and all those things, utilities. There's a lot of details to take care of. So the other thing that I think a lot of home sellers really want to know, they'll ask the question, how much is your commission? But that's actually not the biggest selling expense. The biggest selling expense typically is if they have a loan, how much do they owe on the loan and what are their other closing costs? Because the number that they need to know is how much money they're going to put in their pocket when it sells. And they have to hire the agent that makes them feel as though they're trying to get them the most amount of money when it sells and make the whole process simple and easy for them because they just don't do this every day. So let's talk a little bit about the steps, Richard. This selling a home or buying a home, they're both large processes. Selling a home and buying a home are both very large projects, essentially. And with the new contracts, it's gotten more complicated. I think our contract to sell a home, Richard, is like 21 pages long. Is that ridiculous?
That is way too wordy, and that's way beyond what it really needs to be. But it's complicated. That's where you come in.
Right. And the contracts are supposed to be simple for the consumer to understand, but they're not really. And so that's part of what we do is we explain the whole contract, exactly what it means and what it means to them and the things that they need to watch out for. Like I was talking to a seller last weekend and she was telling me, yes, I get this offer. And the buyer said, okay, we can back out all the way up until a day before closing. So imagine you're a seller and you moved out of your house, right? And all of a sudden the buyer bails. Well, I changed my mind. I want my earnest money back. Wouldn't that just be so frustrating for you?
That would absolutely drive me crazy. That's just unprofessional.
It's unprofessional, but you know what? That is the kind of thing that we see happen all the time if you don't stay on top of what's going on. And I think some of these agents just, I don't know what it is, but to them, like they're working for the buyer and it's all going to be good. And I can understand if a buyer is going to change their mind over a house that they might have gone under contract with. Typically, it's over inspection. It's almost always the case that inspection is the issue. Everything else is probably not the issue. Very rarely, if the buyer has been told that they're pre-approved, will the deal fall apart. So this is what we do is we help home sellers prepare their homes ready for sale. So actually the first step is when you call us to meet with us, we're going to ask some questions about your home. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out kind of what you've done to your home, find out what your goals are with the home, when you want to move, all those important questions. And then we'll show you what we do to get homes sold. We'll give you tips on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. And then we execute our checklist and our plan so that the process is simple and easy as possible. So you should, if you're thinking of moving, you should meet with the realtor before you go on the market. I wouldn't want to do it like, okay, let's go today, because there are most people have questions. Like I was in a seller's home yesterday and they're like, okay, we painted everything except the inside of this one closet. All right. I'm like, do I have to do that? And I'm like, no, it's not important. Focus on the major things. I think people will get over the fact that one closet is not freshly painted. So that's part of what we do. We go over improvements. We make sure we research similar sales to help you decide on what's the best way to price your home so you get the most amount of money. We take a good look at your home as well, show you how it will stack up against competition. So you have good information to make a good decision about who is the right team to handle the sale. And if you do allow us to handle the sale, that's when we start our plan. We actually share with you our 16 key systems to help you get top dollar. We'll help you with pricing information. We have to get permission to start reaching out to our database of buyers in waiting. And then we actually have what we call a what happens next checklist that we provide to you, just so you know where we're at in the process, because people are real busy. They got a lot of stuff going on and they want to go, okay, that's where I'm at. This is what's going to happen next. We also include our certified pre-owned home program. That's a really cool program that we just started. It's proprietary to us, where basically we help you prepare with all kinds of information about the home, make sure it's pre-inspected, make sure that you see all the landmines coming at you in the home sale process, because in the state of Colorado, and I know we've talked about this before, Richard, there is no license to be an inspector. So usually the agent recommends an inspector, and you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they're way off. They're just wrong about what their assertions are. And sometimes they might be right. In fact, I was talking to a seller last week, and she goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with the roof. In fact, that picture looks to me like when he was up on the roof, he slipped down right there and ran into that spot because he tracked tar all over our hardwood floors. Those are the kind of things that we're going to help you prepare for so that you pass your inspection, make sure your home is under warranty, and most critically, we want to make sure that the online presentation is top notch. That way, your home does not get eliminated online.
Barb, tell us a little bit more about what home sellers are really looking for from their real estate agents when they are selling a home.
Well, Richard, I think home sellers, I think that home sellers want out of their agents to know what to expect. Nobody likes surprises. As an example, home showing surprises. Sometimes the agents schedule and don't show, or sometimes they show up late, or sometimes they show up early. Sometimes they show up unannounced. Sometimes they allow other buyers to piggyback on their showings and come in your house, which should never be happening, but they do it. So that's why we tell sellers to be prepared, protect their valuables. Don't be surprised if they fail to leave a business card behind. That is just how they behave. We have a record of everybody that's scheduled to come in, but you don't want to be, we have to deal with these surprises, and we have to tell clients what to expect. That way it makes the process run a lot more smoothly. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about pricing the home right so that it does not sit on the market. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.